It was nearing the end of winter when I decided to visit the country house, accompanied by my mother-in-law, Linda, who had expressed a desire to join me. We had some packing to do, and Linda was enthusiastic about the little trip, often mentioning how much she enjoyed the peace and quiet of the countryside. On arrival, I immediately set about chopping wood and stoking the stove. The air was crisp, and I could feel the winter chill still lingering, but I was determined to make the place cozy. While I worked in the yard, Linda took the lead and made sandwiches and tea. She was always practical and knew how to make things comfortable. I checked the temperature in the room and found it quite pleasant as the stove was heating the room efficiently. Linda had already changed into more comfortable clothes. She was wearing only a sweater and athletic pants. She was a well-groomed and slender woman. It was obvious that the sports she had played in her youth had contributed to her attractive figure. Although she had put on a little weight over the years, she still maintained an attractive silhouette. To be honest, I admired her. There was something about her confidence and grace that mesmerized me and often left me in awe. "Well, the sandwiches and tea are ready," she said with a smile. "I'm a little cold, and tea is just what I need." She held out the cup to me, her fingers briefly making contact with mine, and I couldn't help but notice the warmth of her touch. Quickly grabbing the cup, I took a sip and immediately spilled it all over myself. My eyes widened, my face flushed, and I made an incomprehensible sound, jumping up on the spot. The tea was scalding hot, and the sharp pain made me clumsy. "I think there's some ointment here," Linda said, and disappeared from sight. A couple minutes later, she returned with the ointment in her hands. "Come on, son-in-law. Get undressed. I'll put some ointment on you, and you'll be fine." I quickly undressed, feeling a little embarrassed, but grateful for the help. Linda made me lie down on the couch, squeezed out the ointment, and started rubbing it on me. I felt a great sense of relief, and the pain really began to subside. Her touch was gentle but firm, and I closed my eyes, enjoying the warmth of her hands. Her touch made me feel warm, and without realizing it, I wrapped my arms around her and pulled her to me. Linda let out only a quiet "Oh," as if questioning the situation, but neither of us pulled away. Her breathing quickened, and I could feel the tension building between us. That's how things spiraled, and soon the couch seemed to hold all our secrets. Afterward, Linda looked at me and asked, "How did you like my medicine?" She was still slightly out of breath, her eyes searching mine for an answer. "Yes, it was effective," I replied modestly. "I wouldn't mind being treated like that more often." "And I enjoyed treating you, son-in-law," Linda said with a smile. "Well, if you want, we can do it again." Her tone was playful, and I realized she wasn't entirely joking. "Sure, but maybe not here," I reply, and she laughed as she pulled up her pants, and the sound of her laughter filled the room, breaking the tension that had built up between us. When I got home, I wasn't quite myself. "What happened?" my wife Jessica asked, noticing my distraction. "Everything's fine," I lied, but all I could think about was Linda. Her touch, her smile, the way she looked at me all occupied my thoughts. A few days later, my wife and I went to visit her mother. Jessica and Linda chatted merrily, recounting family news and discussing upcoming events. I watched Linda surreptitiously, remembering our stay at the cottage. Several times, her eyes met mine, and an unspoken understanding developed between us. It was exciting and dangerous, and I found myself craving more. Eventually, Jessica had to go away on a business trip for 2 weeks, and soon I had the opportunity to visit Linda again. I couldn't get her out of my mind, and the temptation was too strong to resist. When I arrived, she was sitting on the couch watching television. The house was quiet, except for the soft sounds coming from the TV. After our usual greetings, Linda smiled and asked, "Would you like some tea?" "You know I can't say no," I said. She smiled. "I made it just for you. Let's go to the kitchen." I followed her into the kitchen, my heart pounding with anticipation. Linda turned around, smiled at me, and put her foot on the chair, an obvious invitation. At that moment, I realized why I had come. I moved closer, wrapped my arms around her, and before I knew it, everything on the kitchen table shook and shook with us. The intensity of the moment was overwhelming, and I completely lost myself in it. Afterward, we were sitting in the kitchen, sipping our now cooled tea. Linda looked at me with a mischievous smile. "You know, you could come over for tea more often," she said, her eyes gleaming mischievously. "Maybe I will," I reply, lowering my voice. "But I don't just come for tea." She laughed softly and reached out to touch my hand. "I know," she said, "and I'm not complaining." We sat like that for a while longer, enjoying each other's company, and the unspoken bond between us grew stronger and stronger. What we were doing was intoxicating, and I knew it wouldn't be the last time. When I finally left, Linda walked me to the door, her fingers lingering on my arm. "Take care, son-in-law," she said with a smile that promised there was more to come. I nodded, feeling a strange mixture of guilt and excitement. As I drove away, I couldn't help but think about when I would see her again. The anticipation was already building, and I knew that the line we'd crossed was now behind us and would never be crossed. And part of me didn't mind at all.